Hello, welcome to Walsall United WFC.
How do? Good evening. Welcome to Walsall United WFC. Yeah, I might sound a bit down, a bit pissed off because I watched the most dreadful game of football today that I've ever seen United play in a long, long time. But just to show how absolutely topsy-turvy the Premier League is, Brentford go and draw 3-3 with Liverpool. Man, what a league. Anyway, how are we, Matt?
Yeah, too bad. Been and watched a shite game as well myself with two crap teams, pal. So snap. No, listen, it was something to do. It was okay. I think first half was a bit dull, second half a bit better. But on the whole, you know, it's football in it. Like I say, got me something to do, so can't grumble. And they had some nice chips, which is rare. I say that. Nando's style chips.
At least the chips were on point, mate.
Hey, peri-peri chips, you know. I've never been to a football ground. They said, you got peri-peri chips? I'm like, yeah, let's have it. Give them to me. So, yeah.
For those that don't know, what match did you go watch, pal?
I went suffering watching Everton play Birmingham. It was a bottom of the table clash, wasn't it? Bottom against second bottom, I think. No, I went to see Rambo, obviously. Yeah, like I say, catch up with Rambo. Was one of the players I knew that left Leicester. She was there as well, so I caught her after for a quick chat. And yeah, job was a good one, pal. So, like I say, second half was better than the first, but it was only them. Do you know, it's like bogged down in midfield. And one team has loads of the ball, and the other team just sits and defends, and it goes nowhere. It was just like that. So, I suppose I couldn't expect much better. But the good thing was the roof was still intact. There was no holes on the floor. And when the ball did hit the roof, nothing fell down. So because I was front row, you see, I just had visions of an accident at work claim coming in for the roof, but it was all good, pal.
It's like the kind of roof they've got, isn't it?
Well, that's it, mate. It was like a tin can. So I thought, God, I was sat there like hands on head like that, my crash helmet.
I did Ramsey play then, obviously on loan at Birmingham. How did she do, pal?
All right. I mean, it's hard because Birmingham are just, I don't know. The thing was, Birmingham stuck 11 behind the ball, and for the first half, they were quite good, actually. They scored a good team goal, and they had a few chances. I think they upped the game second half, but what they did was with the chances was they didn't finish them off. And when you're a team that struggles for goals anyway, and you're right down the bottom, you can't afford chances. So, I mean, to be fair to them, they give it a good go, and I think, you know, Rambo couldn't have saved the first one, it deflected. The second one was just a quality goal by that Hannah Bennison. And I believe she got the third goal, although they announced it as her. But then when I checked before, BBC had announced it as somebody else. But the third goal, again, was not her fault. It was just poor marking. Literally bad marking. Didn't pick it up, free header, and the player just jumped higher and everybody else barely got off the ground, and it went in the corner. But I think, you know, overall, crosses, I think she came and claimed a couple of crosses. Punched a couple of corners clear. Just plays it with her feet. You know how she normally is. So she was good with that. And obviously communication was a lot better. You know, you could hear her throughout, you know, do this, do that, go here, do this. That's got to be better. So, I mean, yeah, there's not a lot you can say because she was, you know, she wasn't really tested in terms of making saves. And the goals that did go in, she couldn't have done nothing with. So it's difficult to sort of give her a sort of report on that. Do you know what I mean? That's why my video, it was about a minute, the video, because there wasn't, like I said, there wasn't really much to say other than the defenders have let her down, really. But, you know, at the end of the day, I spoke to her afterwards, and she was like, you know what, look, I'm getting games. I'm happy to be here. It's good for my development. So listen, you know, no complaints. If she goes there and she gets played every week, then fair play. Do you know what I mean? It's one of them. I'd rather see that than just wasted away on our bench or whatever. So fair play to her.
Absolutely. And John Neville in the comments, and I'll put it on screen earlier, but I hope you're well, mate. And I hope tomorrow is better than it went today for Manchester United results-wise. Leading on to that then, the big game tomorrow. I built this as a massive, massive game for Manchester United. Hello, Lucas, as well, mate. Thank you for joining us, pal. I built this as a massive game for us, Manchester United. I just feel, you know, if we could just get our noses in front of this game, it will give us an absolute huge boost. How do you see tomorrow going, pal?
I mean, assuming Mark's done his homework, and I've no reason to doubt that. I think I say this. I feel like I say this most seasons. I feel like I'd be happy with a draw, but then I looked back at their game that they lost against Arsenal, and I listened to what Mia Eriksson had to say on John's show on Monday about where they're vulnerable, and I agree. You know, I think that the trouble is I don't know whether it's teams that tend to fear them, which I don't think we will, but maybe people offer them far too much respect. But there is weaknesses and exploits where we can really hurt them, in my view. But I don't know. Like I said, I hate saying I'll be happy with a point, because at the end of the day, that's not what, you know, I like to win just as much as anybody else. And I try my very best, but I think sometimes you've got to be realistic and honest. And I don't know. So I think, you know, it's going to be a close game. I think we're not going to get walloped. Like I said, I'd be satisfied with a point, but I'd like to see us just go and, like I say, be fearless, take the game to them. Like I say, hopefully, you know, Mark, because obviously anyone that saw his long interview yesterday, he talked about analysing them. He's talked about exploiting them spaces where they can hurt them, having to change the approach to not be predictable, which I absolutely loved, because he said under the previous regime that was kind of the thing, and I agree. I'd always said we're far too predictable. And he talked about, you know, playing where they don't know how to mark us. In other words, it sounds to me like he might, I don't know, I wouldn't say ring wholesale changes, but I'm hoping from that he's going to drop this false 9. And I know we'll get onto it in a bit and sort of tactics and lineups. And I put my team out on All for United yesterday, but I don't know. I think, like I say, just excited for it. But, you know, I'd take a point now. But, you know, we're at home, and it's about time that now we did start really giving these teams a good go.
Do you think he's got a little ace up his sleeve, though, Mark Skinner? Because when I listened to the interview yesterday, he sounds really, really confident. He's not a manager short of confidence. I just have a feeling he's got some sort of an ace up his sleeve, whether he's, I don't know, whether he's figured out a way to try and beat Emma Hayes, you know, whether he sees something, a chink in the armour there. Have you seen anything to suggest there's a chink in the armour at Chelsea that could be exploited?
Say again, pal. Sorry, I think I froze them.
Oh, sorry, mate. I was just saying, Mark's confidence on his interview I was watching yesterday. It just seems to suggest that he might have a little ace up his sleeve. He might have seen a little chink in the Chelsea armour there. Have you seen anything to suggest that there's been a chink in that armour at Chelsea that we could go and exploit?
Yeah, I think for me, in behind the fullbacks, depending how they set up, that's where Arsenal got their win against them. Yeah, I think there's space in between, and you know, if them fullbacks, they usually push quite high. I think if we can drag them like up and out and get the space in behind those, usually you'll find a centre half will come out to cover, which you'd fully expect. It's Chelsea, so if that's the case, there's also gaps in the middle. It depends again, because sometimes they've played with one holding and sometimes they've played with 2 holding. So it's like if it's 2 holding, it's a little bit more difficult to find space, because those 2 holding usually do a really good job, and Sophie Ingles is a good player. So again, it's about splitting those 2 holding players if there is 2. If it's 1, again, you know, we need to start to think about overloads, whether that's, like I say, in behind, whether that's opposite side, whether that's sitting in between fullback and centre half, or even both centre halves. But I think Mark's got good reason to be confident, because his record at Birmingham against the top 3 was very good, and he got wins against the big team. So if I was Mark, I can fully understand. And listen, I've always said this is the best team he's worked with, and I still fully believe that. So he's probably thinking, well, actually, do you know what? I took a okay Birmingham side, and I beat the likes of Arsenal in the past, and, you know, took Chelsea and City on and got good results. So I personally think, you know, he's got a lot to be excited about. Obviously, sitting here and talking about it and looking at what we can offer on paper and how we can beat them is going to be completely different. Like I said, you know, the occasion and obviously going there with no fear. But I'd be reasonably happy if I was him and think, actually, do you know what? they're not all that. Let's go and give them a good go. But you know what's going to happen, don't you? This will come back to bite me now, but we'll see.
Absolutely. For somebody that might be tuning in for the very, very first time that might not know Chelsea, who would you say is their standout player? I know it's a team full of standout players. If you had to pick one standout player, who would you choose?
I think it's got to be Frank Kirby. It really has.
I agree.
I think the thing is, like you said, they've got a lot, but the reason I've gone with Fran is because she's just, since sort of her injuries and her illness and all the mental struggles she's gone through over the past sort of couple of years. I think last season we saw what a quality player she was. And I've had I'm going to say the joy, because I can appreciate good players at other clubs. The joy of watching her. I remember when she was PFA Player of the Year. And, I've just seen her grow and develop. And I think one thing that sort of hampered her sort of progression and put too much pressure on was when she got called a mini Messi by Mark Sampson for England. Then you can see why. It's the sort of the height similarities, the low centre of gravity, moves well and dribbles with the ball. But for me, that kind of didn't sit well. I know it's something that Fran's spoken about that she hates, but I think, you look at her record last year and, she top scorer, maybe second top scorer. She's very, very good player, gets in on the assists as well. So I think for me, I'd be more bothered about her. Obviously, Lucas, another one there, it says Sam Kerr. But I think for me, we saw last year, she took about 5 attempts, didn't she, to get 1 goal. Must have missed a load of sitters. So if that Sam Kerr turns up tomorrow that keeps missing sitters, then
happy days.
A bit better, yeah.
This one, mate, this is a good one for you, pal.
Now that Millie's injured, you can play 3 at the back. I mean, we could, but it's a question of who. I'd think if it was 3 at the back, for me, it has to be Thor dropped. It'd have to be Blundell, Battle, and Millie. Not Millie, dear me. Blundell, Battle, and Mannion. But I think the thing is with that is who's going to be the attacking fullbacks, because for me, I don't think we've got enough. I think the back 3 is fine, but I think the thing is, because you have the attacking fullbacks, we need 3 centre halves at the back. Now we've got 4, we've got Mannion, but who would be the, would somebody play Ladd there? I mean, I don't know. I wouldn't personally like to put her there myself, but it just begs the question then, do you really want Martha and Smithy as your attacking fullbacks? Failing that, are you going to have Hansen and Leah, but then are they going to get back and defend? I'm not so sure. Really, I don't know. It's just one of them for me where I'd experiment with it against a weaker side or in a cup, for changing it. And I think for me, I'd just go physical. And I've like I say, my team yesterday, I've gone physical and sort of compact and solid. So I've gone for the back 4, holding 2 in front, 2 wide, and 1 forward. I mean, listen, like I say, I would never rule out a back 3 because, like I say, I like to be unpredictable and chop and change. But I just think Chelsea could probably exploit that far too much for me, because I think they'll find the gaps in between. And I think if that back 3 isn't used to playing with each other or they've not worked on it or practiced it, it could very easily get messy. And yeah, it's not kind of what we want.
Yeah, absolutely. But then they've got an ex-United player themselves in Lauren James that could do exactly the same thing, So, on Lauren James, have we actually heard if she's actually even available for them to even select in a squad yet?
I don't believe she is, no. Although, who knows, she might rock up tomorrow. But she has been travelling, so she's been part of the travelling squad, just like mooching about in a tracksuit, basically. But the last game, like I said, before the international break, she was just there chilling. So who knows? I think they've talked about, Emma Hayes said about getting her fitness right, which is kind of similar to what we're doing with Russo, sort of building her up and giving her little bits and not overdoing it and really getting to the bottom of the injury and like the cause of it and why, in LJ's case, why she keeps breaking down, because it does happen a lot. I think Hayes said talking about like managing her body correctly or her knees or something. So that's when she had to go at Casey. So who knows on that, but not expecting her to play or even make the bench, but hey ho, I don't know.
We shall. I think we'll put that as we shall see, isn't it? On Emma Hayes, then she's a fantastic manager. In charge of the best team in England, Champions League finalists. Is this as far as she's pushing this Chelsea side? Can she push the Chelsea side to the Champions League trophy ultimately, or do you think this is just as far as she's going to go now? Because all right, she's had one bite of the cherry, so to speak. With one final. There's been countless other times you think Chelsea should have got to a Champions League final, didn't quite make it. Do you think this is as far as she can push Chelsea, or do you think that they're going to keep on investing in players and trying to get her to numerous Champions League finals, for example?
Yeah, I think the thing is they've only had one Champions League final, and I think the manner in which they lost it, she'll not be happy with, and I think that'll give her wanting more. In terms of signing people, I don't know, because one criticism I level at them in City is just hoard players, and it gets them a fruit. Just throw money, and then they ruin people. It's like now at the minute they've got Niamh Charles, quality player, can play wide right forward. Behind the front two is like a centre attacking midfield or a 10, and they've got her at left back. And they've got her at left back because they're struggling at full back level. Fullbacks, is one of them, isn't it? Hard to come by, or they can be a quality one, like a really good one. So they've got a forward player there, which it just annoys me because it's a bit like the Rachel Daly for England thing. She's the top scorer for Houston Dash of all time, and they've got to, start playing these players where they should. But I think they'll be probably satisfied with last season. They won the league, they got the Conti Cup. They're probably due an FA Cup because I think the last time they won an FA Cup was about 2018. So I think she'll want at least a double, a proper double, like an FA Cup, a league, or a Champions League and a league. I think she'll want a double, possibly even look for a treble, but I don't think Emma's time is done. Listen, she's spent, I think this will be her 10th season now, building this Chelsea side. I think now we're only starting to really see the quality. The thing for me is keeping everybody happy. She had a couple of good players last year. I think of Jamie Lee Napier, quality young prospect. Again, another one that was an attacking player that's ended up at left back. She'd have been more than capable in a few years' time of being a regular there. She left. Obviously, we took Hannah off them as well. So it's one of them. I think if you can keep everybody happy, and keep everybody reasonably fit, then I think they've got a little bit more to go yet. But I think Champions League will be a sole target of maybe making a final and see how far they can go. And then it's just a case of, I still think there's a couple that'll probably, clear out come next summer. I think for me, I'd be looking at likes of John Anderson, Carly Telford, probably Drew Spence as well. And then there might be one or two, Gora Wrighton doesn't get too many games. Beth England doesn't get much. Jessie Fleming seems wasted. She's a quality talent. So it's a balancing act, isn't it? I mean, whilst the window's shut, it's not an issue. But I don't think this is, it for Chelsea. I think Hayes can, keep them there and then look to kick on. And like I say, make them a force to be reckoned with in Europe.
Absolutely. I just hope that, as I said earlier, that Sam Kerr just a player that couldn't hit a barn door at two paces. That's the sort of form that she's in tomorrow, and doesn't come back to haunt us. I've asked about a key player for Chelsea. But I want to ask you for a key player for Manchester United now. Who really needs to step up now and take this game by the scruff of the neck? Who in your opinion, has to be our talisman? I don't want to say talisman, but talisman out there.
Do you know what? I think this is quite straightforward for me. I think Leah Galton needs to step up. And we know her talent, but, I think Natalie's talked about this, or somebody, there's been a few people, and they said basically she starts off quite slow, and she does. Yeah. And she, the first couple of games, I think the Reading game, she lashed one over from about 6-7 yards. Leicester, yeah, okay. But I think Leah now needs to step it up and just get a form back. Listen, it might be a fitness issue. People might say it's harsh, but I just think for me, I look at her and Hansen. I just think Hansen's been even in pre-season, Hansen's carried on a pre-season. The only thing that's missing from what she had in pre-season was goals. But listen, that'll come. She scored against Reading, I think, did she? So she's got a goal, but I think she's been the better of the two. So for me, I'd like to see Leah step up a bit more. Tooney's on fire, as the chant goes. Martha Thomas seems to be slowly getting there and settling in. Goal for Scotland, goal for us as well. So that'll do a confidence some good. We just need to get Leslie back for me. I think that's the big one. Not on the right wing. I want to see her centrally. I know Lucas says Martha Thomas in. I put Martha in my team to start tomorrow solely because I want, Russo to be fully fit. So I'd rather Martha with pace have a bit of a go and just see what she can do. Listen, we can bring Russo on, but I don't think Russo's ready to start. So, but yeah, in terms of stepping up, I think Leah for me has got to be the one that really showcases the talents, because last year she was a nightmare for them and they hated it, and she got a goal. Or did she get? No. Yeah, she did. Jackie set her up a goal at Leigh. Yeah, so yeah, for me, just step it up. Like I say, she's not been woeful, but just for Leah levels, it needs to be better.
Absolutely. Do you think that Martha Thomas will start them from the start, or do you think he might go for the false nine again? Maybe push Tooney a bit further forward, as we've seen. Or do we have to play a centre forward? It has to be in there.
I think we have to. I think I don't want to be funny to Tooney because that's not me, but I just look at the physical battle against Millie Bright and think Tooney's going to come off worse.
She's not injured, is she?
No, she's not injured. No. Slight knock, but no, she's fully fit. Mark said that in yesterday's press conference. She's fully fit. It was a knock, clean bill of health, he said, so that's good. No, I just don't think. Listen, she's very intelligent and she's great with her runs and finding the gaps and getting in and out. But I just, against a more physical opponent and a better defender, let's not forget she's come up against Leicester's two centre halves and Reading's. Do you know what I mean? There's not really much kind of high quality, shall we say. I'll not be too rude. It's not like a high quality, like Champions League, top of the league centre half or centre half pairing. So I think, no, I don't want to see. One thing Millie Bright doesn't have is pace. So this is why, for me, Martha Thomas up top with her speed and her pressing and her work rate. Tooney just in behind again is the second press and the speed and the work rate. I think that could cause issues, but I wouldn't have Tooney as that false nine. I'd change it up. I'm just trying to think who'll probably likely play centre half. Well, probably trying to think Eriksson, Bright, Ingle, Carter, Norwen. Some of those type players, I think, obviously we'll see at the back. I would assume Eriksson would be next to Bright because obviously she's captain. You got Maren Melger at fullback. So yeah, I just think listen, they've got a quality defence, haven't they? For me, it's probably the best in the league. So we've got to change how we play, and we can't just for that reason. For me, play a false nine.
Absolutely, and I know you said at the start that to get at them is probably to try and pin the fullbacks and get in behind their fullbacks. Now, this is probably going to play into Mark's hands a little bit because we all know that Mark Skinner loves the old-fashioned wing play. In Leah and in Kirsty Hansen, he's got two there that can really cause some damage in behind there. But have we got the players to look at get that first time ball in behind the fullbacks and really pin them back? We need astute players on the ball that can, switch at times. And sometimes we struggle to switch the ball quickly.
Well, that's where my change in midfield came in. I'd gone for strength. I'd gone for quality on the ball in terms of the pass and the vision. So I'd gone for Hayley Ladd, Jackie Gronin, and who's the other one? Oh no, yeah, Ladd and Gronin together, and Tooney just in front. Mm-hmm. So I think Ladd and Gronin are more than capable of picking a pass. I suppose you could add in Bo Reeser if Ladd's not in there, and she can pick out a pass. Her passing range is really good. I've been impressed with that overall game. But yeah, I think that midfield's going to be key. And obviously, I think I think of Tooney, like I say, floating in as the 10, and obviously Hansen and Leah. But yeah, who knows? But that for me, like I say, the midfield's going to be the one where we need, like you say, have somebody with a vision, not only to pick a pass, but somebody that can see if there's any gaps that need plugging in terms of when we're on the defensive and we're out of possession as well. But yeah, we'll have to see. To answer your question as well, Lucas, I would love to see that. But
yeah, it's about time she did at least score for United. I know she's come close, hitting the post at Leicester and everything, but yeah, it'll come. I think it'll come. But nice to see her score a screamer for the Dutch national side. Do you think that Chelsea are maybe going to overmark and maybe panic a little bit over Ella Toon? Because we all know that Toon is, as you said, has been on fire, and obviously she made the English national Lionesses side now. Seems to be like getting called up regularly now. It looks like she's worked her way to that team now on the regular. Do you think Chelsea might maybe put one or two around her, and that may create a space as well, knowing that how dangerous Ella Toon can be?
I mean, knowing Emma Hayes and knowing Chelsea, I wouldn't say they will. I think the thing is they don't tend to, or I wouldn't say, and I mean, just seeing David's popped up, so he might correct me on this, but I don't think she'll be sort of not panicking, but going out thinking, God, we've got to go and focus solely on that player. I think, listen, Emma's very tactically clever. She knows her stuff. She speaks very well. I've got a lot of time for her. Some people aren't a fan, but I think for me, she's clever. So I wouldn't expect it to be going all out just to solely focus on Tooney and stopping Tooney. I think Emma said yesterday, we are one of the top sides in the league, and it will be a good game. And obviously, we do have threats, which is correct. So, yeah, I think I'd be surprised if there was an out-and-out game plan to stop Tooney. I think the thing with that is, like you said, if players get drawn in on her, and that's the sole aim, is that, well, hang on a sec, you've got Hanson, Leah, plus a forward, so you need to kind of, not just focus on one. That'd be like us going focusing on Frank Kirby for me. Like, I don't want to see, let's say Hayley plays. I wouldn't want to see Hayley Ladd just marking Frank Kirby all game, because I think, well, actually, your sole focus is on that. What about Sam Kerr? What about Pernilla Harder? I don't know if Cuthbert's back. She did, I think, go off a concussion the other day for Scotland. But do you know what I mean? For me, the sole focus shouldn't just be on one player. And I wouldn't say panicking, but maybe like overhyping. I don't want the attention. Oh God, Frank Kirby. And I'm pretty sure they'd be the same. It'd be a little bit. It'd be kind of the way I could say it. It'd be like, and I don't like comparing to men's game, but it'd be like with Ronaldo. Everybody being so Ronaldo, forgetting that there's like Bruno, Rashford, Greenwood, etc. You've got to focus as a collective for me. So yeah, who knows? I would be surprised, but again, you never know. That might be something like you say that Emma thinks, well, actually, we stop her, we stop the attack. Possibly. I don't know. Yeah.
Again, we shall see how it's going to be interesting to see how the tactical side of the game plays out between both managers as the game progresses through the motions, through the thirds. It's going to be a fascinating battle all over the field. Talking about battles on the field, and I'm not talking about players, by the way. I'm not talking about management now. I'm talking about the referee. This is the referee, by the way, that's caused a little bit of controversy with Katie Zellum that time, with that sort of handball that never was a handball. But, even though it came off Zellum's forehead. But what do you make of the referee? I think, is it Kirsty Dowell? I hope I've got her name right. I've written it down as Kirsty Dowell. If I got it wrong, mate, you can shoot me.
Do you know what? Refs are one thing. I don't know names, but I know faces, if that makes sense. Cheers for tuning in, Lucas, by the way, and we'll catch you tomorrow.
Yeah.
It's one of them. I don't want to sit here and say too much, because I don't want to be one of them ones where they turn around and they say, well, you use the ref as an excuse, because, listen, we all know it was a shambolic decision. It's happened now. It was, 2 seasons ago?
A couple of seasons ago, wasn't it? Yeah.
So I don't want to, keep harping. I know John enjoyed a little bit of slating with Andy yesterday on his show, but I just, yes, it is important to get things right, obviously, but it's not going to be, I'm saying this, it shouldn't be the reason that we come away with hopefully with a loss if we did lose or drop points, for example. So, like I said, it's one of them I don't want to harp on, but a decision as bad as that did cost us the game. I'd like to think that tomorrow, that won't be the case. But I'm just surprised when they appoint these referees that they don't look at it and think, right, you know what, United Chelsea, this could potentially be, well, it's probably too early to call it a title game, but these are the games where anybody going for the league doesn't want to drop points. So let's assume, because, we're not the favourites, if Chelsea were to drop points, it's not ideal because there's minimal room for error. You know, there's 22 games of your season. You know, you only look at if you drop points tomorrow and they lost to Arsenal. You know, you've got City. You pretty much got to beat home and away. You know, so it's fine margins, and I just don't understand why they don't pick the very best ref that they have. You know, God knows who it is, but I'm just surprised. But like I say, I'm not going to sit here and say, oh well, you know, ref's fault, blah blah blah. But it's not ideal. But you know, hopefully that referee's learned, and you know, tomorrow we can just enjoy a quality game against two good sides, and we won't have to say, well, actually that cost us the game or this cost us the game. You know, I'd rather be sat here on, you know, Monday analysing the show, saying, listen, fair play, we were second best, or fair play, we've got, you know, a point, or fair play, we've won, and this is where we've won it, and that's where we've won it. Not we've won it because the ref this, or we've drawn it because this is. Do you know what I mean? I hate that, because it's just it's one of them for me where they seem to be the talking point most weeks by multiple managers and fans. But yeah, I even seen some decisions today, and I don't even support or follow either team. Seeing some decisions today that were just baffling between Everton and Birmingham. I just couldn't get my head around it. But you know, we are where we are, and you know, like Connor says, fingers crossed that the women can make us happier tomorrow. And like I say, that we're sat on Monday, hopefully in a good mood.
Absolutely. The atmosphere is going to play a big part in it, you know. And I think I'm pretty sure Chelsea have been in quite a few down themselves, being the team that they are, and we always say that they're supposed to be supposedly the best sort of travel supporters, which I still have my doubts, but you know, we should be a rip-roaring atmosphere tomorrow, pal. And please, if you get yourself down, the tickets are still on sale. You know, it's all done digitally these days, these tickets, you know, so it comes to your phone. Please come down. If it's your first time, please come down. Please support Manchester United. You know, we need all the support we can get, vocal support, that is, you know. Please come down. Please get behind the girls. Just sing your hearts out for the girls, because they're going to need us as the 12th man, you know, even more so than they've ever done it previously in any other game that they played. Yes, I know we've played Chelsea a few times now, you know, in the WSL, but you know, let's have a rock in LSV. You know, it's the first big massive game back at LSV since the pandemic hit. You know, no disrespect to the teams that we played, you know, previously. This is the big one. This is the start of the biggie now. You know, we're playing the champions of England, the European Champions League finalists. You know, let's get an atmosphere going. Matt, on the atmosphere, do you expect it to be absolutely bouncing tomorrow?
Well, I certainly hope so. I mean, you know, like you said, I'm hoping that, you know, Chelsea can come up and travel, and, you know, I'd say they're the second best fans in the league for me, after ourselves. You know, the home support when we went to Kingsmeadow, you know, it was good, and like I say, we enjoyed a few chants back and forth. 12:30 isn't obviously ideal, but you know, you got to do what you do. We've had to go to Brighton, which is even further than them coming to us. You know, for a 12 o'clock kickoff on a Sunday. You know, we've set off at 4 or 5 in the morning. It's just football. But I'd like to think, you know, that even though it is on BBC, that they'd still make an effort to come up, you know, whether it's train or driving or whatever they do, you know. But yeah, atmosphere is going to be massive. You know, the thing is, we've started well. We've got our points. There's no reason for people to be unhappy, or not that I can think of, with anything. It's not like previous seasons where maybe, you know, I think, was it last year we played them away and it come about Jan-Feb time maybe, and we were in a bit of a sticky patch and people were a little bit aggy. I think this year, you know, it's an early game. We've got them third game of the season. Good time to play them. You know, let's really just, like you say, just get behind, you know, get some chants going, try and lift the players, do our best, enjoy it, and just see what we get. I think for me, you know, I wouldn't say it's pressure, but as a fan, you're on BBC. We need to get it rocking, you know. People need to see that this is the place, and everybody talks about how good the support is. You know, we don't need to blow smoke or anything like that, but it is. So I just think, like you know, the difference being when it gets to that sort of 70-minute mark and people start to tire, and you know, players might need that extra 5%. That comes from the crowd, you know. So I think let's go. Let's give it our best shot as fans, and you know, fingers crossed, like I say, Monday we're talking about a good result. But I would like to think, that we can get at least 3K. I think we got, was it 2-2 against Reading on a Friday night?
Reading, yeah.
Yeah, so I'd like to think games against Chelsea are well attended.
I think the entire West Stand's all sold out. Obviously, city holders and obviously people that purchased it on the left-hand side completely sold out. And I know it was bright amber orange for the South Stand. So looking good, mate. Looking good for numbers again. So at least a couple of thousand at the very, very least. It's going to be there tomorrow. Because I know obviously Chelsea are going to have the far corner of that South Stand apparently, but they all seem to all mix in and mingle anyway by the looks of it. I'm just hoping it's a good atmosphere. I just want it bouncing, I just wanted to, as you said though, 70th minute, 75th minute onwards, legs start tiring, that they're going to need that boost. And it's great that Natalie's back as well though, because inside LSV, because we're going to need her more than ever as well, because as our main vocal cheerleader, she's the one that gets everybody going. She's the one that gets everybody all riled up, and I think we did miss that in the previous games, but the previous home game, beg your pardon, but it's going to be, I've just got a feel it's going to be a rocking atmosphere. But we shall see, mate. We shall see on that one. Speaking of fans, though, and in stadiums, a little bit of news about alcohol maybe making a return back into the stands. Obviously, nothing's been confirmed. It's just a chat that's going around. The various different authorities, whether because there's a draconian rule that football fans can't have a drink inside the stadium bowl, but you go to rugby, you can have a drink. You go to cricket, you can have a drink. You go to snooker, you can have a drink. Go to Formula One, you can have a drink of alcohol. That is, so surely football should follow suit. Would you be for it, or would you be against it if alcohol was to be reintroduced back into the stadium bowl?
No, listen, I have no problem with it. I just think it's down for people to trust fans now. I think I'm sick of hearing, in 1987 this happened. I couldn't give two hoots. I wasn't even born. Do you know what I mean? So why? Maybe that's selfish, but I just think, they bang on about, this happened in 87 and this happened in 82 and there was riots here. Great. It's 2021. You're talking 80s. God knows, why. But listen, they can only try it, can't they? Why not try it at a women's game if they're that bothered? The women's games are known for not being like as hostile and aggy, and you know what it's like at men's games because you go, do you know what I mean? Where some people don't take the drink very well. The women's is more friendly and family orientated. So for me, I don't see why it should be an issue. You said there, cricket, snooker, tennis, F1, all them different sports. They trust the fans. Why are football fans treated like criminals? And I just think now it's time to stop harping on about the 80s. And start living in the, the 2021s and the present. So, for me, there's no reason, like I say, why. Obviously, if people are taking up multiple drinks, then I can kind of get it. If it's obvious that they may be having, a shed load of beers. But if they're taking up one drink and then going back for another and taking up one more, I don't see the issue. I think people overplay it and they're quick to play the blame games. Oh well. This might happen, that might happen. Well, it may do or it may not. That's like saying, tomorrow may be 30 degrees, but it may also rain. It's all this probability stuff. And I hate it, because it just, you become a label as a fan, football fan, and people automatically think thug, trouble, riots, swearing, and, a load of other stuff. But I'm not a fan of it. The reasons behind why it's not allowed. And, like I say, for me, and I'm sure, you'll give your views in a minute, but I'd just like to see it be trusted, and if after a year we've trialed it and it goes, belly up and there's a load of trouble, then fine, we can say we've tried and people have wrecked it for others. But I'd like to think that, now fans can be trusted with it, because the thing is, it only encourages people to go to a pub beforehand anyway. They try and change these kickoff times, but you know what it's like. And the bars, hotel football is like stone's throw away. It's a bar. So they're like, oh well, yeah, we stop it and they do this, but they just encourage more pre-drinking. People just find a pub. We've done it on early games. The Reading game, I got to that pub at 5 o'clock. Obviously, I was driving, so I had one. But it's like, for those that aren't driving or getting lifts, they could have easily, had a few. And I remember actually the Lewis game after we won the title and we all got there early. We had a couple. Yeah. We had drinks afterwards because it was a late kickoff, and it was a good day, and that's what it is. But it's no different to having a shed load at a pub to it is in the game. All it does by not allowing it in the stands or many to be served is just says to people, right, well, let's go to the pub and get absolutely levered there instead. If that's what they want to do, that's what they're going to do anyway. They're always, do you know what I mean? They're always going to find a way around it. But add to that what you want, or what you think.
I think I agree. Maybe try it in the women's game, but because I think the men's game at the minute is still. I don't know. We still need to be proving a few points in the men's game because still the racist abuse that goes around in football grounds. Absolutely. It's all right. Fair enough. It's not as bad as it used to be, but it still raises its ugly head every now and then. You still see players getting racially abused, or other fans getting racially abused from the opposition, or whatever it may be. I think we need to get a house in order first. So I think maybe I think you might have a point there, Matt. Maybe try it in the women's game. The other issue that I did see somebody say on Twitter is if a team scores a goal, and like we've seen in fan parks, that people start chucking their beers around, and drowning everybody in alcohol. Do you know what I mean? I think that could probably have an effect on people wanting it back or not back in the Stadium Bowl. On
that though, when you say like it going on people, do you mean people that don't drink, or it's like against a religion?
Well, yeah, but
all I was going to say on that was, to be fair, I get what you're saying, but for me, it's like I could easily get a bottle of water and chuck that or tip that on somebody. Do you know what I mean? That's why I was trying to see which one you meant. If it's against somebody's religion, fine, not a problem. Then, it's out of order if you're tipping alcohol on them and obviously chucking it, like you say. But for me, anything can be chucked, can't it? Alcohol or not, to me, it shouldn't make too much of. But
just thinking about because obviously the women's games built as this more of a family environment, more of a family friendly game. But obviously, like I'm not going to say a bunch of thugs, but some of us might get carried away and
City threw a bottle at Natalie. Look at that.
Well, I know, mate. I know. When I say I'm throwing things, I'm not on about deliberately. But you've seen it in the fan parks when England are playing the World Cups. We all score. The beer's going everywhere. People. Not chucking the cups, but they are getting chucked up. They're only plastic cups anyway, but or they've got hold of it and they're just spilling it everywhere. They're celebrating. You've seen it all. Everybody's seen the pictures.
I was there in the 2018 World Cup in Hyde Park.
Yeah,
good times.
Yeah, absolutely good times. But I mean, people against that, people with families and everything, that don't want to get doused in alcohol and having their clothes smelling of alcohol, having their hair smell of alcohol, whatever it may be. So I think you're probably right. Maybe pilot in the women's game, see how well it goes. As we know that some of the women's games, though, in some of the leagues, you can go and drink in the stadium because they're only small non-league grounds. They don't. They're not permitted. It's not like Leigh Sports Village where you're not allowed to drink in the Stadium Bowl.
That's it.
Old Trafford where you're not allowed to drink, or Kings Meadow where you're not allowed to drink. So it's maybe you've got a point there. Maybe just trial it at a couple of women's games and see how it goes. Don't roll it out nationwide, but maybe try it on a select couple of fixtures and see how fans get along with that, and then then slowly maybe introduce it more and more into the WSL and everything. See how that gets along, and then maybe a year down the line, then introduce it at the men's game. But for me, I just worry about the men's game because, as you said, there's still a lot of aggro going on there. Some people get heavily tanked up before matches, and it can get a bit irate. The men's game, it can get a bit hostile and ferocious.
I think on that though, that's when, if it's gone too far and it's clear that they are too gone, then just refuse entry.
Yeah, it's true, mate.
That's the only fair way. But like you say, if you don't trial it, you're never going to know. So it's a fine balance, isn't it? I don't know how they work it if they do look at it, but that's just, like I say, what I do personally. And like I say, as a steward, you're trained, aren't you, in certain things and like customer service, etc. You should know if somebody's had too many to say, actually, you know what, you've had far too many, you ain't coming in, tough, no refund. End of the day, that's their own fault. But
yeah. What shall I say, mate? It was just a little topic that came up. I know it's caused quite a lot of talk on social media and everything. People for it, people against it. There's a number of different reasons. People don't want to see the old days, the hooligans back. Tanked up alcoholic thugs. That can't handle their beer, that go and pick fights. I'm not saying that like the WSL, but that's going to happen somewhere down the men's game at some point, and especially the Premier League. Whether it happens inside the stadium or outside the stadium, I don't think the police are particularly too keen on the idea anyway of having alcohol back in the stadium ball. I know they're proper. I think they're one of the ones that are against it. But as you said,
go on.
Sorry, mate. No, I was
just going to say. To be fair, I mean, for me, you talked about reasons about it being thrown, and I think for me, thinking about it now, that must be the only reason, because alcohol is still sold at games anyway. So they can't even say, oh, well, you tanked up, because you'd already be in there buying it. Like you said, like Leigh, when you go down the stairs under the little stand thing. So, especially when there's more games being played at men's grounds and it is on sale, there's no reason why people couldn't go and get a shed load at half time. Anyway, the only difference, like you said, is it getting chucked basically for being in the seated bowl area.
As you said, there's no difference between someone getting tanked up, as you said, underneath the concourse and the seated bowl area anyway. So before people go, why am I calling it a seated bowl area? That is actually what a lot of the tickets actually stay on the back stadium bowl. So that's why I just call it that. Before anyone gets confused and go, what the hell's a seated bowl, Ben? Or a stadium bowl, but that's what I'm on about. The stadium itself, where you go and sit or stand to support your team. Moving on from that anyway, because that's a subject I don't want to spend too long on, because we could be here arguing all day about alcohol and whether it's good or not. Anyway, any other bits of news, pal?
I think the Euros increase in prize money.
Oh, yes.
Seen that the other day, and I think, do you know what? There's people criticising it, and I just think, do you know what? Why when something comes out, do people find faults? Like they were saying, oh, well, it's an increase in prize money, but it's a fraction of the men's. And I just feel like, it's not the men's game. We're moaning, saying, oh, well, they've increased it, but it's so many % off the men. Or they've increased it and it's so many millions off the men. Jesus, they banned women's football. It's still, back in the day, it's still growing. It's still very much underfunded. If you flicked a switch and you swapped the money in the men's football with the women's, I'm pretty sure there wouldn't be similar kicking off. But, they've doubled it. It's now, I think it was 16 million euros. They've got it to from 8, doubled it. So for me, that's a start. I understand people are saying, well, the men's is this and it's only a fraction of it and it's only a certain percentage, because I think the men's is something like 370 or 75 million, which, okay, yeah, 18 million to 375. I do get your point, but we've got to start somewhere. They've at least made an effort to double it, which is, it's a bonus. We've got to start somewhere. It's only going to grow and get better. We've got, a home Euros coming up. So I can't really work out why people are finding reasons to moan. Like I said, I'd understand if, they'd said, right, well, actually, it's a 200 grand increase or it's a $500,000 increase. And you think, okay, that's a bit of a Mickey take. That really, it's not worth doing. But they've doubled it. So for the women's game and for the money in the game and for where we're at in terms of growth and the products and everything, it's increasing, it's getting better. And that's what we want year on year, to increase, to grow, to develop, and to attract more money and more sponsors. So there's no point in UEFA aren't going to go whole hog and say, right, here's 200 million when it was, do you know what I mean? When it was minimal anyway. They're not going to start chucking money left, right and centre, because listen, at the end of the day, they're a business. They're going to want to know, actually, can I attract sponsors and get money back from that? Can I attract TV deals and get money from that? Can we get merchandise and sell it all and make money from that? And it's all done like that. So I think for me, I was happy enough with it. I've seen people disagree, and that's completely fine. But for me, I can't understand why people are saying it's not good enough, really, when it's been doubled. But each to their own.
Absolutely. Listen, people, I think we live in a culture like people like to moan and whinge, no matter how much incentive there is, or how much extra increase there is, or wages, or prize money. People are always going to whinge. But it's still not good enough. It's never going to be good enough for people. For some people, just the whinging moaning culture we live in these days. I think instead of saying, "Oh, it's a progressive step," and you never know, maybe another couple of years down the line, UEFA might go, that's worked out quite well. We'll chuck another. We might double it again.
But I think the other thing is, for me as well, I'm pretty sure there's only 16 teams enter the Euros. Now the qualifying's done versus 24 in the men's. So, not only is there less teams, that's probably another reason for it. And, FIFA have already agreed to increase the prize money for the next World Cup. I can't think what was said on that now. I think that was doubling, actually, for the 2023. I think they said just after the 2019 World Cup that in 2023 they're going to double that prize money as well. And I think from a rough guess that was about 12, 14 million. So that should double 24, maybe 30. So, at least they're adding on and they're doubling it rather than, like I said, adding on a few hundred grand or $1 million or $2 million. So it's leveling up. Like I say, I'm happy, but like you said, in this day and age, people just find fault, don't they, rather than praising the move.
Absolutely. Before I wrap up, I did forget to ask for a score prediction. So, Matt, I'm going to ask you for a Brave score prediction.
If it's Brave, I'm going to have to say I win, aren't I?
Exactly. That's why I said Brave. I was trying to coax you into it.
You get me shot, you get people tweeting and DMing me saying, hey, you said this, you said that. Do you know what? Sod it. We're going Brave, lads, so I'm going to say 2-1. 2-1 win.
I love that. I've said it all along, and I've just got a feeling Mark Sampson's got an ace up. Mark Skinner's got an ace up his sleeve. Fucking Mark Sampson. That's because you mentioned him earlier. Mark Skinner's got an ace up his sleeve. I think we're going to sneak it 1-0. I know it's not as grandiose as yours, mate, but I think we're going to sneak it 1-0. And I just think Tooney's going to get the goal. The player that's in form.
I'm going to do that to Emma.
Yeah, I'd love to see that. Do you imagine that? Not that it probably will happen, but do you imagine she did that? Emma was that'd be throwing herself to the bottom of the stands there in her own pitch.
She'd be down that slide that was next to me, wouldn't she? That little canvas Klingsman down that slide, she would be. But I think Emma was speaking highly of her the other day on commentary. So yeah, I think that'll be a funny one, wouldn't it? Just to a little cheeky or one of them celebration. But yeah, we'll see.
We'll see. As we always do before we wrap up, Matt, the plans for the week ahead, if we know any.
Tomorrow, obviously, match day content. Twitter and Instagram, a few videos, etc. Schedule will go up tomorrow evening. There'll be obviously the weekly catch up of shows as well, tweeted out. Monday, match reaction. Tuesday, my WFC show. Wednesday, I think Natalie's back Wednesday, but I will have that conversation with her tomorrow. Thursday, obviously, John. Friday, Fans Forum, and then back to us next Saturday. So yeah. And the other thing is, obviously, Anthony's odds did return yesterday. Gareth's show does return as well this Tuesday. Now we've got some fixtures. So Gareth's weekly wrap-up where we discuss WSL and analyse and round up a few championship results. That is actually coming back as well. Obviously, like I said, it's difficult when it's internationals because there's nothing to talk about, and the same for Anthony. But yeah, keep an eye on those as well. And we're back up to our 8 shows. So yeah, just join us on the socials tomorrow. I think it's great for those that couldn't be there. or that want to, see what's David saying. As a Chelsea fan, he's gone for 3-1. 3-1? Reason I think is going to concede due to the fact that, to be fair, we do tend to nick, he's right. We do tend to nick goals, but I don't think we're that bad at the back now than last year. Obviously, losing Millie was a blow, but listen, Thor's come in and stepped up, and Bundell and Ona probably best fullbacks for me in the league because I'm biased, and then Ethan Mannion as well. So I don't know. We'll see. I'm going to disagree. I'm not going to say I'm going to ship 3, but who knows?
And Mary Earps also had a solid start to the season as well. So
Mary Earps, you know my thoughts on Mary Earps, lad.
Absolutely. Just want to get this one quick.
This is what I was saying to you about 3 at the back. Spaces to exploit in behind.
Yeah, but it should be a very, very good game of football tomorrow. Oh, yeah. I'm really, really looking forward to it. Hopefully I won't end up in disappointment like the men's game did today. And to be fair, I think it'd be a probably better game anyway, because the way United played today in the men's, it's like we were playing like a complete bunch of strangers. Couldn't even pass 2 yards to each other. It was awful. It was a bad day at the office. But the men go again on Wednesday. But before that, it's the big one on Sunday, tomorrow afternoon. 12:30. You get yourself down there. Please come to Leigh Sports Village. Tickets are on sale all the way up till near of kickoff because it's all digital now. So you just get an email to your phone and the ticket attachment to that. Please come down if you can. If not, the game is on BBC Sport. I don't know what to. BBC Two. I was going to say the BBC Sport website as well. I believe is streaming it as well. Somebody did say.
Probably will do, yeah.
But BBC Sport website, if they do stream it. If not, BBC Two, the main BBC Two channel. No, I just want to address this. No, I'm not on the out. I'm on the in. Although I do think it needs a plan B. That's the way.
No, I'd agree.
The way we have to look at it. But to end the show on a high note, though, I do think we'll nick it 1-0. I think that Mr. Skinner's got a trick of his sleeve.
That's a blow for Chelsea.
What's that, mate?
Myron Melger is out, according to David.
Oh, I've seen it. Yeah.
Just blow for them, quality player. But anyway, we'll see David on Monday. I'm sure.
I'm sure, yeah.
But, see.
Right, I'll wrap it up there then. Thank you for everybody that's tuning in. Thank you for everybody getting involved in the comments. And if you're watching this back later, please do come down to Leigh Sports Village, please, if you can. If not, tune in on BBC Two. 12:30 kickoff. Let's get behind the Reds. And I swear Matt Skinner's got an ace up his sleeve. Come on, Skinner's tricky Reds. How about that one? Matt, I shall see you tomorrow, pal. Take care, buddy.
Pleasure. See you later.
Everybody, take care.